Alright, what is happening, YouTube? Welcome back to the Top Hat Guy Show, and today we're going to answer a couple of questions. Well, a lot of questions actually, but in order to do so, I figured I'd just make a video of who is the Top Hat Guy, or who am I, right? So, to do that, I figured the best way to first kind of start out would be explaining what this channel is, why I do it, and so on and so forth. So I do it in kind of raw footage. I don't edit. I don't edit anything. I pause it here and there if the dogs need to go out because I take care of my babies before the show. But aside from that, like it unpauses directly right back where I started. Right. Sometimes I forget what I was even talking about when I come back, so I have to like kind of suckle through, and maybe there's been some times where that happens, but the whole point is to show how authentic and just me doing a real show, not thinking of, like, I mean, of course I think of ideas and stuff, I do my research, but like I don't like, this ain't like a television show. This is more of a kind of like a podcast show kind of thing, right? It's absolutely real in real time. Technically, I mean, I record it, but like if I fuck up, I fuck up. I'm not gonna correct it. I'm gonna still post, and I'll come back and correct, because that's human, right? I want the whole purpose of it is is me to show audience, and eventually you can, by just getting, buying a phone and recording yourself and posting on YouTube, if you have whatever it takes for audience to see you, and whatever variety that happens, you can do it with just your phone and consistency. That's the main idea here. Now, is it going to take a while? Likely. I mean, hell, I don't have a lot of views yet, but that's okay. I'm also not necessarily doing it for, like, to be fucking famous or huge or influencer or anything. I'm doing it to show it can be done, right? Which is worth anything. To do so is worth doing, right? In the sense of trying to show people it can be done. You can do it too, right? I'm trying to inspire. It's an inspirational kind of thing. The whole show kind of is. That's the whole idea, right? I have some underlying things that I would also like to kind of conjoin into the show, such as like sort of narratives, that personal, modest narratives that I like to think, I kind of morals that I like to uphold and kind of see throughout the show every now and then. Hell, I even have a secret little science equation for y'all to solve if you kind of go through my show from that'll start probably next episode is when I'll start seeding that into the show there, throwing little bits and pieces for y'all to, because I think that's fun. I'm very intelligent, and as you'll know through this episode, I'm going to explain just how intelligent I am and how stupid I am too, because like I mean, it's one and the same. I feel like every genius can also be a fucking idiot, right? So I think everyone can shine in, and I also think that in a sense, if fed right, if every human being's ambition was fed properly, I think every individual human being would excel at some part of life. I really do. I think we all have a secret trait that's just waiting to be first recognized. Like, if you don't there's a reason why there's a saying, variety is the best flavor of life, because tasting every bit of what life has to offer, despite fears like skydiving, for example. I know that holds a lot of people back, but fuck, I would probably try it if I was guaranteed that I would make it on the way down. I'll do it, yeah. But like just several things that people fear, which usually has to do with change. A lot of people are scared of facing change. And I mean, you can see that throughout society. It's very prevalent throughout just history and society, period, right? but it's also very prevalent in your life, and I think that's very important to acknowledge. Um, I think that's just something every human being has to kind of come into circumstance with, to kind of face, to just come to terms with, right? I say circumstance because there's multiple circumstances where you can just kind of sit there and be facing, who knows how many fears a person's facing. Like, and that's what this story is kind of, well, my whole life kind of story is about, in a sense, is recognizing that, because what you're going to notice is what I do in life is observe more around me than myself. I can probably repeat the same patterns over and over and not even realize it, but the second that someone around me kind of is starting to act sad or different or off, I'm not going to say off because, human beings are just kind of, we're not the same people every fucking day. I mean, people before their coffee can be, but yeah. Anyways, so I think the start though, what I wanted to start this episode out for sure was talking about how you can also do what I do. You can do what anyone does. You can. I'm not gonna say what anyone does, but you can, as far as task, as far as dreams go, you can pursue your dreams. Whether you reach them or not depends on a lot of variables. I'm not going to say it just depends on you, because it depends on the dream, it depends on so many variables. But what can be stopped with you is not stopping. Okay? You can go out and try and fail and try and fail again and again and recognize why are you failing. If you just keep doing the same thing and failing by doing the same thing or repeating exactly what you were doing, I don't think you're learning the whole point here. And at the same time, hell, you might be though. You might be teaching the world, no, I'm right about this, y'all are wrong about this. And there's some scenarios where that has happened. I'm gonna be honest with you. There's some scenarios where an individual who society did not accept was actually absolutely correct. I mean, fuck. But it's also, you do have to also learn about timing. And I think history has taught me the most about this lesson is, and I think, for example, Napoleon, right? He saw the turmoil of the revolution, I'm not going to say vacant, because it wasn't a vacant spot, but he saw it didn't have a good ruler in its place. And so he took advantage of his time period, of the time he was living in. He took advantage and he seized the moment. And I can't blame people from doing that. I also can't stand here and not acknowledge that so much of technology has been spread to portions of the world that just improved upon that product due to world conquest. I mean, Alexander the Great, Genghis Khan, no matter how you want to view it, the two different sides. I mean, I guess some people probably saw these as the same side of the same coin, but as far as I have read, I don't think Alexander the Great's, conquest was nearly as brutal for the people as Genghis Khan's. But hey, I might just have a Alexander the Great bias. I don't know. I could do a whole lot more research on him, I'll be honest. I definitely could use some more research on him. But I do recognize that pattern. If you don't know, both allowed such vast different parts of the world at the time to receive trade that they didn't. I mean, Genghis Khan is the reason why gunpowder got so virtually spread everywhere, right? And then the Western culture, while it didn't create gunpowder, I'm not going to even say perfected it, but perfected upon the previous. You made it better and made it more accessible, right? Better and accessible. That's the name of the game. It's not just about the invention itself, which a lot of inventors don't comprehend. Because I mean, if you can't make a product, if you make a product, right? Let's think of the Lorax movie, for example, for a moment. If you make a product and you can't sell it to people, what's the point of that product, right? Even if it's a hoverboard, like anti-gravitational functioning, right? It can it can hover, right? It can fly. You can make you fly, and it's not an airplane. It's easy, simple. If you can't sell that to people, either because it costs too much to where nobody but the top 1% of population can afford it, then what's the purpose, right? What's the purpose of giving that product into society? You're not gonna. Now that's why people looked at these inventions or looked at these partial inventions and finished them off, made it where it was both accessible, it's a better product than the previous one, and they were able to commercialize it. Okay, that's a huge thing for anyone chasing their dreams to comprehend. If you can't sell your product to society, then it's not going to get out there. Now that's different for content like, for example, the show. I'm not trying to sell this show to society. That's not my objective. My objective is to teach. And teaching usually is brought to those who sought after it. It's not really, you don't really teaching doesn't pursue you usually. Now, all of it, you can say the fucking school system, but that's not knowledge, man. I'm sorry to tell you, but like, the schools are ass. I had to teach myself, and you'll see throughout this whole show, I had to teach myself, man. And it's not to do with the teachers either. I loved all my teachers to death. Again, shout out to all the teachers that taught me. Thank you so much for everything you did for me. They're restrained. The school system itself restrains them from being able to teach. So when you put chains on education, the passion is lost for the teacher, and that goes for every subject. If you can't imagine if you couldn't teach the power chord in a guitar, or you couldn't teach, man, I don't just I've ran out of analogies because that's my most biggest passion. But that's in some. I'm trying to think of controllers metaphors here, but like there's several freaking evolutions of controllers that didn't have this or that and that. So I'm like, fuck. But anyways, what I'm getting down to is like. Flipping back to it though, if you can't sell the product, if you're trying to sell, it's not going to help. So if that's part of your dream, if you're wanting to do something like a podcast or a show like this, don't do it to sell to people. I'm not trying to sell anything to you. I'm not here for a profit. I'm here to better just make you, not even make you better, because I don't know if I can do that. That's your own battle again. I'm here to help if I can, but to just inform what I know, share what I know, because that's all humanity can do. For one, sharing what I know can correct me. You guys have the power to see this and correct me if I'm wrong on what I know, because what I know doesn't mean what I know is absolutely correct. It's just what I have been taught, and that's a huge thing for humanity. Humanity all across the world needs to comprehend this one concept. Just because you know it doesn't mean it's true, okay? Now, if a mass portion of people agree that it's true, for the most scope of human history, that means it's true. But that still doesn't mean, especially in this era of misinformation with AI and just false narratives and political propaganda agendas and all this in our news. We can't we're never told the news. We're told how to think about the news, right? And that's sad, because the biggest part of my story that you're going to learn here is I always had to think for myself. Not even given the choice. I had to. And I am so fucking thankful for it. Holy fuck, I didn't think it would prepare me this much for the world today, but it did. It really did. And I know that was not any of my parents' intentions whatsoever. They did not have any intentions, as you'll probably learn. They were just living life themselves. And I'm kind of glad of it, though, because I can formulate my own opinion about things. I can look at something and be like, yeah, just because these people think this way and just because these people think this way does not mean I'm going to think either way. That doesn't have to be my two options. You know what the third option is? My own fucking opinion that I formulate by doing my own research. But with that power comes great responsibility for myself. Because if I'm going to come out here and into the world of social media and spew my opinions, which for whatever reason everyone's is either absolutely huge or they think it is, or just absolutely minuscule as they don't think it is at all. Whichever side of the coin you want to make it, I guess with numbers agreeing, that kind of makes a thing. But like I can get into that too. I don't think that's the case. I'm gonna say it now. I don't think, like, here's the thing. These influencers, like these huge influencers that have thousands or millions of fucking followers, think that fucking number count means anything. I'm sorry to tell you, bud, but just because a lot of people know who the fuck you are, don't mean a goddamn thing. And sorry for that cussing. I mean it so infinitely that I had to say the worst word possible for that subject. It doesn't mean anything. You need to cut that mindset out, okay? Just because a bunch of sheep know who you are doesn't mean you're a lion. I gotta tell you. Again, I apologize for the GD for those who are very religious and don't like people saying that. I didn't know any other way to make how strong I feel about this opinion to be more substantial than using a word that people just hate. And again, I don't use that word often, just to illustrate. I just need to make a point there. So now let's get on to who I am. Now that you know all of my content was made to be raw, to be just completely this, right? Me. Personal. Always trying to be personal. Always trying to show pretty much just who I am through every video if I can, because I mean, if possible, that's kind of my intentions, right? Of this whole show, just kind of reflect who I am, my thoughts on every crazy subject that comes up, whether it goes with the, like, obviously I have to do some YouTube tactics here and there to try and get the algorithm to see me every now and then. So if a hot topic comes on, I have in fact had to chase some of the bandwagon on the show. But I'll also stray off of that for sure. Here recently I've been way too much on the bandwagon. Honestly, I hate it. I hate how, because there's just so many opinions to look at, and that's kind of how I reflect a lot of subjects is, you know, seeing everyone's opinion. Like, the first thing I do after watching any video is go down to the fucking comment section to see what the rest of the world says about this particular video. Because obviously I have my feelings about it. Whether I mean, if I got through the whole thing, most likely I loved it, or at least enjoyed it. So I want to see what other people thought about this and stuff. And that's, again, that usually doesn't. There is this one point where I was watching a video and I was reading the comments, and they were informing me how this content creator kind of clipped it towards the end, where the towards the end of the podcast where both of the people were more aggravated at each other. So it seemed like this person was insufferable through the whole thing, but in reality, this was a clip towards the very end of it where they both were probably being a little more insufferable because they definitely contrasted with their opinions definitely did not definitely collided. So I saw that and I was like, damn, that's it makes me a little sad. I hate that they kind of did that for their video, for their kind of like that kind of shows their bias a little bit. And I know everyone has it, but we all hate kind of seeing it in a video where the person don't usually show that. Well, at the same time, I guess this content creator kind of does show their bias pretty regularly, so it's understandable and to a degree since they do kind of do that. But still, to kind of clip the video like that was just it's being dishonest, right? It's being a little dishonest, and I don't like that. But anyways, all the same, starting out on who I am. So I'll be honest, I don't know a lot about my family history. I don't. I can presume from last names. I've done some research on last names, and I know I'm definitely part Cherokee. Definitely got some German in me. I did some research and it said that Piper could definitely be Scott, that definitely have some strong ties to Scots Irish. So I am pretty sure I'm part Scots Irish there, which makes sense because a lot of the Scots Irish people that came over really, has a lot of ties with the Germans part of the heritage as well, especially more up north and I think close to like the Virginia border, if I'm not mistaken. People can, obviously correct me on that. I would love for you to teach me more about my own possible history, right? So, but because of that, I have done, the second that I thought that I could be Scots Irish, I immediately started researching a lot of the Celtic history and mythology because, I already liked a bit of that from playing Smite, so, and that's a whole different thing. But anyways, if that's the case, those are what I know of, right? And let's see here. I'm gonna go ahead and say I grew up with my grandparents for most of my life. They were, obviously everyone says that their grandparents are probably the greatest people they know, but I have to stand firm. My grandparents are the greatest people I know. My papa was, while he could have been controversial at some parts, he was such a great man, and I loved him to death. And honestly, I wish that I did more history about the Day of the Dead sooner. I'll get into that in a whole nother video because I would have made a shrine for him every year. But that was a gap of knowledge for me, so I'm gonna start doing that for sure now. But again, another video. But greatest man I ever knew, and I didn't even learn just how great he was until after his passing, when I asked him. So the reason I don't know a lot about my family history is the same reason I don't know a lot about my grandparents, a lot about just my family. I don't ask questions about my personal relatives' lives and themselves. I've never really sat down and tried to ask the story of themselves or from their parents at all, because I guess I thought that is kind of a weird thing to ask. And so all I really know is, I guess, the drama and the just talk that I've heard my family just say about my relatives, right? Which is an odd and terrible way to learn about your family, if I'm being totally honest with you. But it is what it is, right? It also allows me to just kind of formulate my own opinion, because I don't take, I take everything I hear, like the gossip and everything that my family does about the rest of my family, with a grain of salt, right? I still look and be like, I kind of, I can see where this person's going in life, period. And that's what I can judge them off of, rather than the opinions of, my snarky relatives, I guess. Not all my relatives are snarky, but you get what I'm saying, right? So because of that, I'm also not very close with most of my family. I am definitely, like, I don't know if I would call myself necessarily an outcast of it all, but I'm definitely not as close with my siblings as I would love to be, and that goes for all of them, every single one of them. I'm actually hoping that the one with a bun in the oven, who was supposed to be due literally yesterday. I'm really hoping if that happens, it should be hopefully happening in the next few days for sure. I'm hoping being there for them in that moment could hopefully bring us a little closer to, because I would love nothing more, right? But I would love to be closer with all my siblings though. I grew up with so many siblings, but pretty much the only child, because again, I grew up with my grandparents, while all my other siblings either grew up with my mom or with my aunt. And yeah, so that's kind of always that's kind of been a drive for me. You're gonna notice that in my story, that's kind of been a drive for me to connect with people that are close around to me. I guess you could say, because I don't know my family, I make everyone that chooses me my family, right? And I mean, that's not to go to say that my family doesn't try to connect with me. They do sometimes. It's just like I can also see, like, I can see their opinion for sure. I don't show up for holiday stuff. I don't show up for swim parties and stuff. I rarely I don't show up for dinner much. Usually I try to hold dinner here. Really, that's what I like to do, because I like to host more than go, kind of thing. I also like to cook, but that's the stoner in me probably just. I learned that back in high school days. So, anyhow, though, I don't, I kind of track as I will, right? I track, keep track on how they're doing in life, and every now and then I'll probably shoot my mom a message, be like, hey, tell them congratulations, I love them, send my love for them, this and that. I'll hit them up every now and then to see, but for most part they're busy, and I haven't been a huge part of their life, so I can understand it being difficult for them to open up to me. They probably don't even know me really, and it's hard for you to have a sibling that you don't know. And I mean, same goes for them. I don't really know them that well, but I'm the kind of person who can walk up to a stranger and get to know them and become their best friend, because I mean, I'm not, I have nothing to hide. I have nothing to prove. I can just go up and be friendly, because that's who I am. I am just a genuinely nice person. I'm an extremely social person, right? I've always said I was born to lead revolutions, and I mean, I totally could. So you better watch out where. No, but in all seriousness, no. But I've been the most social person I've ever met. I could go out to Madison Square Garden, or hell, the reason I'm okay with posting on the internet is because I'm willing to be in front of the whole fucking world, for you all in the whole world to hear me. And that goes for, I could be on a stage in front of the whole world and be okay. Not be scared at all. In fact, I would probably relish the moment and start playing some Garth Brooks, if I'm being totally honest with you. Like, I mean, I would seize the moment for sure. That is my kind of thing, though. Like, I mean, I've always been the person, if I see a moment, to seize it, right? That's why I've got. That's why I got this bad boy right here. I'm gonna make a video about that, don't you worry. I can't believe it. That's why every single artist that I'm actually get like VIP tickets for or just crazy opportunities for, I try to ask them if they'll do a duet with me or a song with me or just even practice with me. Like I asked Scott Avett while he was running to his tour bus, "Hey, would you teach me? Would you like practice a guitar chord with me?" No, okay. And then I got the other one to sign my fedora. It was such an awesome time, man. Such a some crazy shit. But anyways, I've had some crazy experiences. We'll maybe get to it if I can remember them all. But for the foundation of it, that's always been my character, and and I think it's based off of the fact that I don't know my family, so I make everyone my family, right? And again, I also do in a sense think that some of my family avoid me from all of my, bad influences and bad past choices because of the bad influences I was around in my high school years, and I can totally understand that. I mean, 100% can understand that. Like, I was definitely not the Drewby I needed to be back then, right? I had some influences that kind of shaped me to just not really be me anymore, and that don't happen. You have to be careful who you put yourself around. That is a huge lesson every single human being needs to learn throughout life. You think, like, I know so many people who had such good hearts who got involved with these people trying to just save them because it was convenient for them to hang out because there was like neighbors, or lived right across or whatever, or maybe they met on the school bus, whatever. It doesn't really matter, right? But they had bad like home lives, and they let those bad home lives shape them rather than mold them into not wanting that, but instead mold them to being exactly that, right? You have two choices when you come from a bad home life. You can see that and know that's the exact opposite of what you want in life, or you can see that and make that mold you into having that exact life. Those are the two options, and 9 out of 10 times it sadly goes the worst way possible and shapes people into the toxicity shapes them to be toxic, right? So then there's these good people who are friends with these people who know these people aren't bad people but are being shaped into bad people because of the conflicts at home or whatever it is they're dealing with, right? Eternally. So these people then try to help these people so often, and then just end up getting, because they're around the toxicity makes them toxic too. They start changing as well because you get molded by who you're around. It's simple psychology, honestly. That's how a society kind of. That's why we have to be educated, I feel. I've always there's several slogans that I've that I've kind of like to come up with, but definitely no, I was not the first to say it, but definitely still say it every now and then. And one of them is, if you don't educate, you're gonna have to eat. Like, it can go a lot of ways. Educate or conform, or if you don't educate, you gotta follow, right? If you can't formulate your own opinion, or if you can't educate yourself to know how life works and how everything around you functions, and how people talking to you, like, I feel like this is kind of the lesson Pinocchio need to learn, right? If people, the things that, people that surround you, what people say to you, and people talk to you and can understand exactly how smart you are, usually. Now, if you're like me, you're going to hide how intelligent you are. And I'll get into that story soon as well. Um, and it's the smartest people who don't show their hand, who does not always show everything that they are capable of. That's what the smartest people. Yeah, I keep so much of my talent from everybody because that's my personal talent. I don't want everyone to know what all I'm capable of because if they do, the mystery's gone. It's it doesn't matter if I could be the most amazing thing in this in my perspective of talent. I definitely ain't, by the way. But even if I was, I wouldn't show that to you because then I have nothing left to give. That would be everything would just be downhill from there. And no one wants to go downhill, right? People say they have their peak at like 20 or hell 18, 19, whatever you want. Hell, some people in high school. That's sad to me. That's so sad. The rest of the, like, so many people make the first 18 years of their life their main story, and then, like, their whole life, and the rest of their life just obscurity, and just conformity, and just compliance, complacency. I don't even know what I would call it. Laying down to die. I don't know, but like it's like they give up after high school. So many people have, or college, right? Which is just so insane to even think about because like you have the rest of your life ahead of you then, right? But to me, growing up how I did with mainly my grandparents, they were quite strict about school. I didn't learn a damn thing. A fucking damn thing in school. I didn't. And to go back here, before I even started school, by the way, because of the turmoil of them running it. So I guess I need to give a little bit of background. The reason I say my grandparents are the most amazing people in the world is because before I was even born, they had a foster home. Like they turned their house into a foster home. And then they ended up owning a daycare. Owning a daycare. Not just like a manager, no, owning a daycare, people. So like, I mean, they were awesome. They were in it to actually help the society, and not just help the society, help the most vulnerable part of society, the kids in society. Could you be more honorable? Could you be more of a good person? No, I really don't think you could, unless they was down at the freaking homeless shelter serving food every Sunday. I don't think they could be any better human beings. Okay, and I don't expect them to have done that either. By the way, I'm just saying. Like, so that's and because of that though, when they were raising me, or whoever was raising me, when they were raising me, no one decided to teach me basic things. Period. The basic of anything. They just assumed someone else had taught me the basics. No one taught me anything. Okay? I had to learn how to freaking shower myself by myself, which obviously was pretty simple, thank God. But no one taught me a fucking thing. So because of that, I had to formulate my own. And I was so stupid. Holy fuck, was I stupid for most of like school period? Because again, no one would teach me anything. It got to the point where like the only time I learned was when I decided to educate myself when I was stuck in a trailer and had nothing else to fucking do because I lived in a freaking campground. Oh, we'll get there. Like, I mean, not necessarily true. I did start self-educating in high school before that trailer, but I didn't go like deep dive into anything other than superconductors until until the camper days, I would say. Like, right before Kingdom Hearts 3 came out. That gives you a good time frame. So, anyhow, because of that, I believe the first school I went to in kindergarten, I got kicked out for let's see, what was the yeah, I think that one was when I bit the teacher and got sent out to the hallway by myself, and then got sent to the principal and told him to shut up in like a Bugs Bunny voice or something goofy is what I remember Papa telling me. Something stupid that of course a kid would freaking do. Oh my god. So then we switched me over to another school, and that's when I met my best friend Patrick. I'm pretty sure I went there until, for whatever reason, they moved me in like 4th or 5th grade, probably 5th. Then they moved me to another school closer to home, and I went to that whole region of school from its elementary all the way to its middle school, and then went to the high school closest by, right? So I met the rest of my group in, I want to say 5th grade, and most of them, like the 3 friends I made, with the exception of Patrick, he didn't come over as often as I wish he did. But aside from that, my friends practically kind of lived with me, so it was one of those. Like, I would never see them during school at all. And it stayed through high school too. Middle school, high school, everything. Never saw my friends through school. In fact, I didn't have friends in school technically. Like, I had them, but they had their own they already made their own groups because they've been in the years, I've switched around and was back one because got kicked out and all that. For one, so I'm not even the same age as everybody, so I'm a complete outcast as it is, right? And I didn't, at first it kind of sucked for me, poor old Drewby didn't have, but I didn't really care because whenever I got home, all of my friends also pretty much just got dropped off at my house as well and pretty much spent every day with me just about. Yeah, they would go home for a duration of like a day or two, but then they would come over and stay for like 3 or 4, right? So it was what it was, right? And because of that, I feel like that was kind of the start of, they didn't really necessarily, I don't think anyone ever declared anyone a leader, but like, because it was my house, I guess I kind of felt like it at times, and I would definitely try to take on leadership roles every now and then that led me to more of learning about philosophy and because that helps guide, philosophy is like a guide to yourself, and if you can guide yourself, you can guide others, or you can at least advise others. You can't, they kind of guide their own path, but that's a whole, anyways. So after all that, there was, I think we were all a little toxic in middle school, I'll be honest. I definitely was. I know I was, I had some influences from all parts of my life that just didn't go very well. There's certain, there's definitely portions that I've definitely skipped. Like, before I met my friends, there was a lot with my dad and stuff, but I don't remember a lot of that, right? Like whenever my sister was a baby and we lived, I remember living right beside our cousins for a little while. I remember some stuff that definitely happened, but that's some private stuff about my dad that I would rather not share about his life, because that's all his thing. That's not for me to share. I was just know I'm pretty sure. Yeah, I tried to be there for him for sure right after. I think everybody was, because it was a heartbreaking event that happened. I think that's when Shancy went to live with, I, I don't know. She probably was staying with my aunt for a good portion there before that happened. But anyhow, after that, I moved in with my permanently with mama and stuff, and papa, and with school, did all that, right? So we middle school years. Trying to think, all the middle school years was kind of. What can we learn about my middle? No, I don't think there's a lot we can learn about my middle school years, if I'm being totally honest. As far as shaping me goes, I know, like the elementary school stuff towards the end happened with all my friends living with me, so like that really, like that's a huge defiant part of my life that kind of defined who I was and the influence around me and everything. And I could go on here and talk about my friends' lives a little bit too, and how they parallel. And I would love to do that, but again, that's their personal kind of stuff, and I don't want to share that too much, right? What I will share is the obvious, that if they were spending so much time at my house, most likely they probably didn't like spending time at their house often. Now that could be a measurement of many things. Perhaps we just had nicer things due to the financial success of the daycare, perhaps. I don't know. What I do know is I have no idea what my family was going through during any of my time in middle school or high school. They didn't tell me anything about it. I guess they didn't want me to worry. I wasn't very observant. I lived my life. I absolutely just lived my life. Did not think a thing about my family around me or what was going on in their lives. I just kind of lived mine. And that probably wasn't the best solution for the family. I think I could have definitely, I feel like I could have evolved so much better if they would have just shared with me these difficult parts in life that they were going through, right? But I understand they did not comprehend how intelligent I was capable of. I didn't know how capable of my intelligence were, like how capable my intelligence were. I didn't. Hell, I still probably don't. But I know now, if you pursue it, if you pursue knowledge, you can gain it. And there's so much knowledge out there. There's so much to learn. One thing that, and I'm going to get to it, but one thing that I want to just say already, every little aspect of my life, I had sprinkles of, knowledge throughout it. Like, for example, going back a little bit in elementary school, I fell in love with the, what was that? Magic Treehouse. The Magic Treehouse series. God, so good. I loved it. It was, and I think that was kind of blankets of little sprinkles of, hey, Drew, you love history. or you love a little fantasy history maybe, or just little adventure and stuff, right? But at the time, I just thought they were fantastic books. I think the duo being a boy and girl really reminded me a lot of Dragon Tales, if anybody remembers that old show. So that could also correlate a little bit, which I mean, I also have a lot of vague memories with my cousin and my older brother, sprinkled out through my memory before. I don't even know where they would lie either, but I know my love for anime and stuff probably started with Bible Man, and then that turned into Beetleborgs and Power Rangers, and then that turned into I guess later on Dragon Ball Z, because my dad introduced me to that after he saw me watching Beetleborgs one day and was like, what the hell is this? So which I think I also heard that Dragon Ball Z from his best friend, who we just call Sean too. So that's where that kind of started. And yeah, I'm a huge, like, I mean, I enjoy a lot of bit of just entertainment, period. Um, I don't think there's a specific genre of entertainment that's not inappropriate that I don't enjoy, right? Because I mean, comedy, romance, they can all get to me, you know. God, I keep saying that so many times. I'm trying to remember. I say that to try and remember, and I know I've said that so many fucking times because I'm thinking back through so much memories right now, guys. So hard for a stoner, guys. So hard. So, but yeah, middle school was just something else, I would say, because I think I was given way too much. I'm not gonna say way too much freedom, but I don't really know how I would explain it other than like, yeah, I just had a lot of freedom. Really, I would walk the neighborhood, and then I would walk to the little store. I didn't. I lived on the wrong side. I always said it. I lived on the wrong side of the highway, right? All the grocery stores and stuff, for the most part, for the longest of time, was on this side of the highway, right? All the good stuff, all town was on this side, and I was on this side, so it kind of sucked. I would have to, like, the closest thing I could walk to is like maybe walk 3 miles down the road, and there would be a freaking food line. But that's like such a long, which is funny because I would walk practically the same amount of distance, but going the opposite way to go to one of my best friend's house, like all the time, like all the time. So like walking was not like, God, I was so healthy, guys. I was so healthy back then. My legs were like, I could probably outrun Usain Bolt. I'll tell you what. I think we should just go on to high school because I can't think of any more just scenario, like things to sprinkle in here about middle school. Because again, nobody taught me anything. They just let me live life. It was video games and walking. That's all I did. I walked, got home, played video games. That was just about it. Didn't even watch things. Just gamed. Just like, again, I grew up with friends like always at my house, so I always had someone to play a co-op game with. And so we played like Lord of the Rings Conquest. We played a lot of Lord of the Rings games, honestly, like Return of the King. I remember one core memory that me and Patrick has is we used to have this little table and okay, so my house is functioning like this. Come in the front door, living room. You could go straight and that's the kitchen, or you could turn right before the kitchen and go up some stairs, and then there's this hallway that leads to first door on the right, my room. Right across it to the left, obviously, will be the bathroom, and then you can go back, and then there's the master bedroom to the left, and then another bedroom to the right. We had a table at the end of the hallway, very end of it, like right outside the last room on the right, and it had one of those small, bulky, like 90s televisions, right? The bulky ones, the big boxes. And I remember me and him, Lord, who knows how we could see, who knows how we could see Everless beat the whole Lord of the Rings Return of the King in that hallway, just sitting in the hallway the whole time, just gaming. Oh man, so good times, guys. Great core memories. Never would I have known how prevalent video games would come into society. I just enjoyed them. They were just, games were made different back then, guys. They really were. Anyways, high school was probably the hugest change for me. By that point, I met the love of my life, I thought, anyways, the first love of my life, I guess you could call it, because a lot of people say you need like three before you find your soulmate, and sometimes the third can be your soulmate or something like that. I don't know how the story goes exactly, but I do know it has something to do with three loves, right? Well, my first ended up just not being good at all. Cheated on me a lot, kept going back, kept cheating on me, so I just was what it was. I can't remember how many times I went back until I learned, but way too many, okay? Way too many for smart Drewby. This was a pretty smart Drewby at this point, okay? Freshman year Drewby, holy shit. He had something going on in his head. He was smart, all right? It could have been the Sherlock Holmes and Doctor Who marathons, but damn it, he was... Oh, but anyhow, my grades didn't reflect it, but fuck, I did not give a damn about school, because I met girls. That kind of describes most of my high school years, if I'm being honest, is the Beastie Boys song of, if I did a compilation of my high school years, it would be in the background of Beastie Boys, girls, girls, girls. Oh yeah, it's girls, 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 the only crew. I think it's just girls. Oh man. It really would though. It really would. I'm looking back at it, I'm totally ashamed of it, but it was what it was. I like to the point where I literally became the guitar guy by at lunchtime serenading women with my guitar. Random women, different women every time was the worst part about it. It's like there was no emotion for it. I picked out a hot chick and was like, "Yo, you getting sung to today." In some aspects, I feel like in their friend group was like, "Yo, you're getting shunned today." The top hat guy, or at this time, the guitar guy chose you. You were being shunned, girl. It is what it is, though, guys. It was what it was. I didn't, even back then, I didn't give a fuck what anyone thought about me, because again, I had to teach myself. Sorry. Anyways, seriously, how did I get up to high school with no one teaching me anything? But I digress completely. I completely digress on that one. It happened. I remember, like, I think high school is where I remember most of my teachers, though, that really stood out to me. Like, yeah, that one probably had the most teachers. That good for you, teachers at my old high school. I'm not even gonna name them. I'm not gonna name any of my schools or anything. Just know, you know who I am if you saw this. Thank you for what you did for me, because obviously no one else taught me anything in my life. So, thank you for doing so. Oh, maybe this is why I am how I am. Oh, I love this show. So yeah, that's kind of like, oh yeah, a big part I left out. A big portion of the toxic part of my life was one of my friends ended up becoming pretty much just a prevalent drug dealer. And I'm talking like one of my best friends. And so I had to get wrapped up around that all the fucking time. It annoyed the shit out of me. But I should have saw it coming, because this was the same friend that was, doing more than weed, right? Like, this was the person that was getting me into stuff more than weed. And I was like, yeah, I think I just want to go back to weed, brother. Like, that's all I wanted to do, pretty much. But it was what it was in the end. Everyone has crazy experiences in life. You either can say no to them, or you can experience them and come out one way or another. I'm glad I came out the way I did. I'm not, like, addicted to anything. That I'll go down here to the legal THC shop, which pretty much is THCA, I guess. But, like, that's legal. I can, for one, I'm paying taxes on that. I'm paying, the actual store for that product. It's the same product that I can get at a fucking gas station. So it is what it is, right? That's completely different than the high school days where we didn't have an option for that. So, bad history. Everyone, everyone goes through shit. Everyone does some stupid shit in their high school years. I'm not afraid to admit it. I'm not afraid to talk about it. I think talking about it makes it more real for people. If I can get out here and talk about this, about, hey, I wish my best friend wasn't a drug dealer back then. I wish I wasn't around any of that shit. I wish that, he never got our other friend on pills. I wish, all this stuff. But life happens how it happens, and there's nothing you can do about it. I'm glad that my friend that got put on, pills or whatever, I'm glad he's doing okay. I hope my other friend has cleaned up himself and is doing okay too. I actually don't talk to him anymore. There was a point in life where I had to look at the people around me and say, do you deserve me to be around you? And the truth of it is, and I need to see that real quick. Oh, okay, my phone's about to die. Okay, so that's what's going on. So I think we're going to end it right here because my phone's about to die. I've been talking way longer than I thought I was. I'm sorry about that. So we'll do a part 2 of this conversation of who I am, the Top Hat Guy. On the next one, thank you for joining me. Sorry to end it on the somber note. I have so much more to talk about, but thank you for joining me so far. I'm going to go charge my phone and maybe throw a part 2 out for you. Anyways, you all have a wonderful day.